Hi, just sheltering from the cold this afternoon on a friend's front porch, out in the forest. You can see the trees behind me, and I spoke in an earlier video about how hope can combat fear. Another way of combating fear is love, the love of God, and being secure in our knowledge and understanding and experience of God's love. And I just wanted to refer to a verse in 1 John 4 verse 18 where it says that there is no fear in love, because perfect love casts out fear. And God's love is perfect love, because earlier in 1 John 4 it says that actually God is love. And this is how he's made his love known amongst us, by sending his only Son to be a sacrifice for us. And so being secure in God's love is another key way of combating fear at this time. I know a lot of people are experiencing fear, maybe not about the coronavirus itself for themselves, maybe for loved ones, or maybe it's fear about the kind of fallout from all the kind of craziness around us. Maybe that's kind of financially, or in terms of job security, all those kind of things. And so our understanding of God's love is key at this time. And that same verse in 1 John 4 verse 18, it goes on to tell us that fear hath to do with torment. This is the King James Version. And what it means when you look at that word torment in the original Greek language, it's to do with punishment or penalty. And so if we're afraid, then we're afraid of kind of punishment or penalty, correction, and that's not from God, because I can tell you for certain that this virus is not from God, and that God is not bringing judgment or punishment to anyone through this virus. God is love, and Jesus has taken our penalty and our punishment, and God is showing his love among us through Jesus, who's the full expression of God. And so we need to be clear about that, and we also need to be clear that a way of combating that fear is experiencing the love of God for ourselves. And the end of that verse in 1 John 4:18 tells us that he who is afraid, or he who fears, is not made perfect in love. Or in the New Living Version it says who's not fully experiencing or fully experienced the perfect love of God. So it's kind of a challenge to us, really, that if we are feeling afraid, then it's because we haven't fully experienced, or we're not fully experiencing perhaps the love of God in our lives. And it's important that we get a hold of this, because fear can have such a detrimental effect to us and those around us. There's actually been scientific studies by psychiatrists that have shown that if we are full of fear and are anxious about something, that we can actually, it affects our whole bodies. That what we are thinking on in our mind, what we're setting our attention on, focusing our thoughts on, and through fear and anxiety, we can actually bring things to pass in our bodies. So we can actually bring sickness upon us because of our fear and anxiety and our worry. Our thoughts are powerful and can affect our physical health, and also affect our situations, circumstances around us. And so this is an actual scientific studies done on this, that the power of our thoughts and the power of fear and anxiety in terms of bringing things to pass. And so this, and it's also a principle that's shown in the Bible as well. There are scriptures like in Proverbs where it says, as a man thinks in his heart, so he is. And also elsewhere it says that what you set your attention to becomes your desire. And that's why Jesus told us not to worry. and what good can we do, and how can you add a day to your life by worrying? And so it's important that we, are able to combat this fear, and so that we don't let it take a hold and actually impact our health, and by worrying and being fearful about this virus, the studies that I'm referring to show that you could actually even make yourself more susceptible to this virus. And I just want to give you an example of this from a family member of mine. And this happened a few years back at Christmas. One of my brothers-in-law became quite anxious and fearful about a tummy bug that was going around in their extended family. One of their cousins, one of my wife's cousins, and her family had gone down with this bug just before Christmas, and it had been a pretty nasty sickness and diarrhoea bug, and we were due to see them shortly after Christmas, and it had all passed by then. They were feeling a lot better, and didn't think they were infectious anymore. Kind of period for that has passed, but one of my wife's brothers, this brother-in-law of mine, he was quite anxious about meeting with them and the fact that they could still be contagious. This bug could still be infectious, and so he kind of took it upon himself to become quite worried and fearful about it, and started briefing everyone to be really careful about washing their hands and practicing good hygiene while we were with them. And he went to efforts to kind of disinfect door handles and things like this when we'd been with them, and kind of everyone else in the family was fairly relaxed about this, about the situation. It was this brother-in-law who kind of was worrying and fearful on our behalf, and after we met with them, it was him that came down with this bug, and no one else was affected by it. But he, a couple of days later, or within a day or two, went down with this nasty bug, and no one else got it. And kind of looking back now, we didn't necessarily join up the dots at the time, but looking back now, we kind of think, oh well, was that because he was the one who's fearful and anxious about it, and actually he kind of was more susceptible to that bug because of that, and there's I think there's some truth in that, and so we need to be careful, and this is why we need to throw off fear and focus on the love of God for us, and I'm not trying to belittle the impacts of this virus that's going around at the moment. Quite to the contrary, I'm feeling concerned for people, and want people to know that we don't have to fear it. And obviously we're concerned for people that are affected by it, and we need to care for people and pray and all the rest of it. But I just want to sort of perhaps challenge us to think about the love of God in this situation as a way of combating fear and anxiety. So I hope that's helpful. This is something I'm kind of learning myself and kind of preaching to myself as I do this. I'm going to be looking over the next few days as we think about Easter. Going to really be focusing on what Christ has done for us on the cross, and that's the ultimate expression of love. It does say that in 1 John 4, as I referred to earlier, that this is how we know what love is. And so I'm going to be focusing on some of what Christ has actually done for us on the cross, some of the things that he has achieved for us, what he has kind of won for us, and what he's redeemed us from. And so look out for those videos, and have a great day.